Hey, everyone. Have you ever had an employee that you just couldn't trust? Maybe they were always late, or maybe they took advantage of you by manipulating you into doing what they wanted to do. It is really horrible when you have an employee that you can't trust because it puts you in a really difficult position. You don't want to micromanage them, but at the same time, you need to make sure that they're doing their job well. If you're struggling with whether or not you can trust one of your employees, here are 5 things that you can do. 1. Identify the issues. The first thing that you need to do is identify the issues that are making you question whether or not you can trust this employee. Is it because they've made mistakes in the past? Is it because they've lied to you before? Or is it because you just don't feel like they're being honest with you? Once you know what the issues are, you can start to develop a plan to address them. For example, if the issue is that the employee is always late, you might want to put them on a performance improvement plan. But if the issue is that you don't feel like they're being honest with you, you might want to have a conversation with them about setting some boundaries. 2. Have a conversation with your employee after identifying the issues. It's time to have a conversation with your employee. Let's say, for example, that you own a landscaping company and one of your employees has been calling in sick a lot lately. You suspect that they're not actually sick, or rather they're using that as an excuse to take a day off to go do something else. The best thing to do in this situation is to have a conversation with your employee and express your concerns. Start the conversation by asking questions, not by making accusations. So instead of saying, "I think you're lying to me about being sick," try something like, "I've noticed that you've been out sick a lot lately. Is everything okay?" Let them explain their side of the story. There might be a perfectly reasonable explanation, and if there is, then you can work together to find a solution. But if you do decide to confront them about lying, make sure that you're doing it in private. You don't want to embarrass them or humiliate them in front of their coworkers, and focus on the behavior, not on the person. So instead of saying, "You're a liar," try saying, "I do feel like I can trust you right now because you've lied to me in the past." 3. Set clear expectations. One of the best ways to build trust is by setting clear expectations. When your employee knows what is expected of them and understands the consequences of not meeting those expectations, they're more likely to follow through. So if you're having issues with an employee, try setting clearer expectations. This may mean having another conversation with them, or putting some of the agreed upon points in writing. For example, let us say you own a landscaping company and you've had problems with one of your employees using company equipment for personal use. You can set a clear expectation that employees are not allowed to use company equipment for personal use, and then make sure that they understand that if they violate that expectation, they will be terminated. 4. Give them more responsibility. Another way to build trust is by giving your employee more responsibility. When you give someone more responsibility, it shows that you trust them, and that can motivate them to do a better job. Of course, you need to make sure that they are actually ready for the responsibility and that you are willing to give them the necessary support. But generally, if you have an employee that you can't trust, giving them more responsibility is a good way to go. And 5. Know when to let go. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is know when to let go. If you have an employee that you just can't trust, it might be better to let them go than to continue to try to hold on to them. It's not always easy to let go of an employee, especially if you've invested a lot of time and money into them. But if you have an employee that you can't trust, it's important to let them go so that you can bring in someone who can. Well, that's all we have for you today. Do you have any tips on what to do when you have an employee that you just can't trust? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like. We'll see you next time.